In this video, we're talking about an MK4 VR6 24 valve. The other day, my brother was driving it, it's his car, and he went around a turn. The oil light came on for a second, maybe a couple seconds, I don't know. And it was low, obviously, because it's been leaking a little bit. Got home, and there's a little like a rod knock sounding like, and I've done a bunch of research, and people seem to be able to take them apart, put a new bearing on, clean the crankshaft off super good where the bearing rides, put it back together, and it's okay. It's probably not the best, but it's like good enough to run. So right now we've been working on this and taking the oil pan off, the caps off the rods. It's got ARP bolts in it so we can reuse them, and we're gonna see if any of them look bad. Boom! Alright guys, what is this, a third cylinder?
Yep.
So far they're all looking good. Alright guys, we found it. And, oh shoot!
That's why.
Flip it over. Oh yeah. Take that bearing out. Yep, you can see how it's spun inside there. And all the other ones look fine, but... So we're gonna buy a new bearing? Or bearings?
Well,
put it on?
Polish that crank up, make sure it's close. And
Dang.
get a new
Can you see it
bearing.
under here?
Yeah, that light's there.
There it is.
I think it's good.
I don't know, I haven't really touched it yet. That's the one. So we're gonna try and buff that out the best we can. And put a new bearing on it. Alright, so here's the oil pan. There's a little bit of flake in there. You can kind of see it. It's hard to pick up on the camera, but there's just a tiny bit of flake in there. He caught it super early. It was only running for about 15 minutes, so hopefully it's early enough to put a new bearing on and it'd be good. Alright guys, just got the rod bearings in today, some plastic gauge, got all the specs, which is radial clearance is what we want, 0.02 to 0.07 mil. So check out plastic gauge, that's what we got. So we're gonna put this on, check it out. My brother's out there now, getting it ready. So I'm gonna go grab some oil and see how this thing goes. We've been out here for hours, sanding on this connecting rod, on the crank, smoothing it all out. Just put the new bearings in, and got the old plastic gauge out, and just tighten up the connecting rod, taking it off the cap now. Well, he is, and we're gonna see what this measurement looks like. 0.1 is the limit. We're gonna see what this looks like. Alright, I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's about 0.05. It's definitely not 0.038 or 0.76. So right at about 0.5 is exactly what we need for this thing to run. And we're gonna put this in there. Got some Rotella T6 540 to test it out with, and we're gonna see how it does. This is good. Got the crank looking good. The rods are great.
The rods are great.
Rods are great.
No.
These rods are freaking great.
I don't think so.
We're gonna try it. That's good clearance. Plastic gauge is cool.
Plastic gauge is inaccurate.
Alright guys, it's like 2 days later, got this thing all together, took the spark plugs off and rotated the engine a couple times just to like get it get it going, and we're about to start it up and see how it does. First, start with the new rod bearing. It's not gonna knock until we drive it for a little while, if it knocks. So I'll let you guys know how it goes. Alright, ladies and gents, it's been a couple days since I last picked up the camera and we last filmed the VR6, but this thing's holding up. My brother drove it, actually that night, it's like a couple days later, that night we drove it maybe like 10 minutes to my sister's house and 10 minutes back. Actually, we went to the store too. He drove it to work and back. I think his work's like 20 minutes away, 15, 20 minutes away. And this thing's holding up. So we kind of got into it a little bit, not too much, like bounced it off the rev limiter or anything, but a little bit of boost, and it seems like it's doing good. Oil pressure's good. Oil level is good. So if you spin a rod bearing in an engine, it's not completely shot. This is a perfect example of that. Rod bearing spun. I put in a clip that showed you what it sounded like, and right at like 2,500, 3,000 RPMs, when you would rev it up and come back down, I guess when the stress was like relieved from the pistoning rod off the crank, like it was a certain particular spot where it would allow it to knock, and you couldn't hear it at idle and you couldn't hear it under acceleration at all. But if your rod starts knocking, my brother maybe drove this for like 10 minutes and it was okay. He drove it back home. We immediately like tore it apart, replaced it back together. We sanded on the crank for probably a couple hours, sanded on the connecting rod surface to make sure the bearings had a good mating surface, and this thing is holding up. He's hopefully going to find another engine in the junkyard and just build on it, and then he can just swap it out with this one. He'll probably get like forged pistons, forged rods, new bearings, and hopefully have like a built engine and keep up with the oil. The oil was leaking, so I can see how it was hard to keep up with, and it went low all of a sudden. Just kind of a bummer. But if you spin a engine bearing, connecting rod bearing, and it starts knocking on you, stop the engine as early as you can and bring it home, bring it wherever, have the bearing replaced, sand the surfaces really good, and you might be able to make your engine last long enough to get another one or find another one in a junkyard, or build another one like what we're doing, and you'll be all right. So I guess that's it for this video. I'll put more videos on my brother's Turbo VR6, but I'm gonna be traveling in this van right here across all 50 states, and I'm leaving here probably within the next couple weeks. And I'll be a long distance away from this, but I'll still be able to post videos when I'm back in town. I freaking love this VR6 Turbo like setup he's got going on, and so just because your rod bearing's knocking does not mean your engine is trash. I'll see you guys.